be going live in 5, 4, 3, 2. We're live.
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. It is currently 8:04 or 8:05 right now. We're running a little bit late. We ran an update on the computers this morning, and it said it'd take 5 minutes, but of course, nothing ever takes 5 minutes. So, a couple minutes behind schedule today. So sorry about that, folks. Again, it's 8:05 this morning. The temperature outside is 60 degrees, and we have a high of 82 degrees today. We do have a chance of storms and showers today, so just be advised. You might want to have a light jacket with you just to be safe on the off chance it happens, or an umbrella. Now, that being said, traffic conditions are non-existent right now, so your commute into Tulsa will be fine if you haven't left yet. So, congratulations to you. Your commute to Tulsa is going to be pretty swell. Now, as far as local news goes, you already know what's going on as far as the Chamber of Commerce and the Owassoisms things on the calendar. So just go out there and check their sites if you can't remember what those are. But the local events that we want to talk about are a little bit closer to home for us. But we had a well, yeah, if y'all probably saw on the news, Channel 6 was reporting on it. They were out there, but there was a armed suspect that was attempting to steal cars at the Casey's over there on 86th Street, and on 86th and 97th Street. That Casey's over there by the new apartments, kind of near Bailey Ranch or Bailey Ranch Golf Course. But they actually nabbed a suspect, and he was detained by police, but one they assume was armed and ran off into the woods, and those woods were right near our home. And so we're on around lunch break time. My brother and I were out there, and one of my friends came over who was off work that day and was just kind of hanging out over my house shooting his bow. Was like, hey, there's a police officer walking over there towards the railroad tracks over to your guys' field. And we're like, what? So we go over there and we look, and sure enough, there's a police officer. We jump in my buddy's truck and we drive up to him, and they were like, yeah, there's an armed suspect out here in the field. Do you guys own this property? And, I mean, you know a little bit better than me.
Yeah. So we get there and see him, and we go. I need to get to this little point over here where our fence line butts up to the McCarty's fence line.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that he's been hiding in in the tree line out here. So he jumped in our truck, and he jumped in our truck, and we escorted him out there. And we're just like, do we need to leave him here? We didn't know really what to do, so we're just kind of hanging out with him, like in case he needed to move again, because it's pretty dense out in some of those places out in our field.
Yeah, it's all hayfield, so the grass is up real high right now, and
Yeah.
it's super wet. And I mean, you all know how much rain we've gotten here the last couple days. It's just a swamp back there too.
And he
so.
says it's a hayfield, but there is some thick brush and wooded areas back in there too. So it was some pretty thick stuff, and it's almost waist high, long grass in some places out there.
Mm-hmm.
But we were driving him around out there, as you can see from the pictures. If you're watching the show, you can see from the pictures that I'm showing us out there, like helping him out. And like, so finally, after we were out there for about like a good 20 minutes with him, and we're like, do you need us to do anything else, or you want us to stay here with you? And he's like, oh, there's some. If you guys could go get the dogs, the officers with the dogs, the canine unit, and come back, bring them back this way, that would be great. And we were like, sure. So we started heading back up, and we also asked him if it was all right if we brought our rifles and pistols. We felt just kind of like a little nervous out there, supposedly with an armed suspect, and we don't have any weapons. We only have him out there to defend us, really. And he's like, yeah, you can totally do that.
Yeah, OPD being cool.
Exactly. So we went back, and we looked for the canine unit. We couldn't find them anywhere. And here's the other part was, we were with a Owasso Police Department officer, so we were with a Owasso officer.
And the Owasso PD they were gun-ho about getting this guy. They were ready to get him. TPD was in charge because that's Tulsa County over there past the railroad track. So that's where he ran to.
They were the ones that initiated the supposed arrest on the guy, because it was a stolen Honda. They stole one of those Honda. You know, they have that little like YouTube trend where people can break into Hondas or whatever.
Hondas and Kias.
Yes, and he was going. He was doing that. They stole this vehicle, and as they went to initiate, of course, they fled, and they didn't tell the Owasso Police Department about it. So the Owasso Police shows up to help him out, and you know the railroad track is literally like where our city, our city lines end. So
Yeah.
it is technically Tulsa's problem if they cross railroad tracks. Well, guess what? He was flirting with the railroad track, so Owasso PD was there and Tulsa PD was there.
Yeah, Owasso PD was lined up all along the railroad track, setting up a perimeter in between our property that we live on and the field property that, you know, most of our property exists on. So.
Yes, the family property and all that. But so we go back, we can't find the dogs, and I guess TPD is the one who was in charge of it, so they took the dogs where they wanted to take them. So we're like, you know, we were just kind of like spinning our thumbs, you know, just spinning our wheels at that point. So we go back and get our rifles and a pistol, and then that's when you show up, and then we load back up, and of course, you know, our buddy Drake grabs his little motorcycle. He's driving around
go
on
back
it.
And you can go to the picture of the motorcycle.
Yeah, I'm kind of scrolling through it. But yeah, and that's we were hanging out with Officer Malone and Officer Kennedy were the two that we were hanging out with. Officer Kennedy was near the railroad tracks by our house, and Officer Malone was the one that we took out into the field, where they were setting up a perimeter around the area, the fence line,
the area they thought he was in.
Exactly. And after that, you know, we load up and we just start walking around and checking our property line area pretty much as we're doing that. And they stayed out there for a good, probably like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours or so.
Yeah, they were out there a while.
Yeah. And the police were out there longer than that, but we stayed out there for that, and then TPD just called it off. Yeah. Couldn't find him out there, but they called it off. And they had 2 other suspects in custody already. And I guess they're just like, well, I guess we'll just catch him when he goes home.
Yeah.
Instead of wasting resources out here. But for the people who live out there, that's a little terrifying.
Yeah.
A supposedly armed suspect is out in the woods.
Walking around
your house. So needless to say, he locked all of our doors and locked all of our cars and slept with a pistol by our bed that night. But
no kidding. But yeah, just disappointing that they called it off that quick. You know, I figured they'd be out there until dark. I figured they'd pull out the infrared and start searching for the guy in the helicopter that way. But yeah, you know, they were just, you know, the officers at Owasso were mad when TPD called it off. They were upset, at least the officers we were with, and you know, they were just like, hey. I won't say what they said, but they were just like, you know, y'all need to protect yourself this evening. You know, be diligent and alert, and that's what we did. We said, okay, we'll make sure everything's locked up and we have our rifles ready to go.
Which, not to turn it too political, but truly shows you why the Second Amendment is an important thing, because they're like, oh, TPD's like, oh, we're out of here.
Yeah, we're sick of looking for him, so he's the city of Owasso's problem now, or the people on the outskirts of town's problem. So, you know, we went and dropped the police officer back by the cars, and we told all of our neighbors who live in the cul-de-sac behind our house, hey, there's a armed suspect still out there in the woods. Police called the search off. So, you know, just be aware and safe tonight. So, yeah, you know, it's interesting. You know, again, your safety is your responsibility. You know, I mean, we do dole a lot of it off on the police. We do obfuscate a lot of that responsibility to the police, but ultimately they can only do so much and they can only be there for so long. So that's why the Second Amendment is so important. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know, again, your safety is your responsibility, and you have a responsibility to yourself and your family to be able to defend and protect yourself. Do not be a statistic. Do not be someone who just lays over and dies. You know, don't be a victim. You know, I've had these kind of conversations with a lot of my friends, and a lot of, you know, we went to TU, you know, lots of
liberal arts
highbrow, you know, it's like, we know better kind of people. And, you know, they just go, if it's my time, it's my time kind of mentality. And I don't understand it. I don't get it. But, you know, there's no one's coming to save you, you know. And the police typically come and clean up the mess. They don't prevent crime, typically. they clean up the mess and they count the statistics. Maybe they'll catch the killer. But yeah, just be advised. Again, your safety is your responsibility. So that's on you. So carry weapons with you and know how to use them.
Train with them.
You know, it's not difficult. It's actually kind of fun too. But again, your safety is your responsibility. You got to protect yourself and your family. Don't expect anybody else to do it for you. Because
absolutely true. That is 100% true.
Because I'm like an officer is going to be less motivated to protect you than they will their own family at the end of the day. I want to go home and see my wife and kids too. I get it. I get where they're coming from. So with that being said, we'll push on to more national news. Ran a little long on that. But so if you saw the title of this video, Target Dumps Pride is what the title of our thumbnail is for this particular video. And it's I'm particularly proud of it, but we'll go ahead and pull up that first video by the Quartering. So this is we won't show the Quartering's analysis of it, but I loved his intro to the video. So
absolutely.
Whenever you're ready, Chad.
You got it. Let me just get rid of this logo thing here so we can see the video better.
Thank you. All right.
You're welcome. And let's get it started. Target, we making clip. Oop, let me turn that down and then make sure the volume's up on the machine here. There we go. All right, we're ready to go.
Inclusive swimsuits for marginalized people. But what about marginalized kids? Here's our new LGBTQ plus rainbow unicorn swimsuit for kids. Also introducing our new Tucker Johnson line. If your little boy identifies as a girl but hasn't been lucky enough to undergo bottom surgery yet, we've included a pouch for her to Tucker Johnson in. Here at Target, we love to target your kids. Come on, children, sit down.
Oh, it looks great.
Yes,
here.
yum.
So, what's everyone thankful for?
I'm thankful for being transgender, and I am thankful for all genders. I'm thankful that there's a black kid at the table. Yes. Here. Is that gluten-free? What we value most shouldn't cost more. Here at Target, we love to target your kids.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap. Wrap? I forgot to wrap my presents.
And I forgot to buy a present for transgender Barbie.
What?
No. Don't worry, guys. Hey, Siri. Does Target stock a swimsuit where I can tuck my Johnson in so everyone thinks I'm a girl?
Bullseye. Yeah, radical. Let's go.
Race ya.
Here at Target, we love to target your kids.
I think that's it.
That's funny.
But yeah, so Target last year they with all their gender equity, inclusion, and LGBTQ friendly stuff, you know, they're very pro LGBT. They're the first place that kind of came out and said, we don't care which bathroom you use. You can use whichever bathroom you want. We don't care what you identify as. You know, that was kind of their virtue signal. So they put out a line of clothing for kids that was pro LGBTQ, including what you saw in that little fake commercial at the Quartering and his wonderful editors put together. Tuck friendly girl swimsuits for boys. So, you know, when it comes to kids, that's when you start crossing some really gray lines. You know, most people are live and let live when it comes to adult stuff. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to kids, that's when it gets, you're crossing the line, going too far. Tuck-friendly stuff for kids. I mean, what little boy knows that he wants to cut his genitals off? What little girl knows that she goes, I don't want to develop into a woman? I mean, again, kids think they're cowboys when they're little. I'm an astronaut. I'm a Jedi Knight. Like, what are we doing here? Pretending that kids can do this stuff, that they're aware enough to know what that is. I want to wear a girl swimsuit as a boy. Yeah, Target crossed some line and went into a really weird area. But again, ultimately, this backfired. It was a slow backfire. You know, obviously this stuff came out over a year ago, but it's definitely they've lost a lot of revenue off of this. It was a slow burn when they released all this information, but there you go. The proof is in the pudding. So whenever it costs the bottom line, whenever the bottom line is affected in a corporation, that's when virtue signaling stops. Because at the end of the day, these people have to turn a profit. They have to make money to be able to keep their stores open, to keep their employees paid, and to keep their shareholders happy. And, it makes these people and their shareholders happy to virtue signal, but then when it starts costing them money, it's like, oh, never mind. We still have that. We still hold this ideology, but we're not going to. We're going to discontinue this kind of crap because it's not cost beneficial to us. Because again, the vast majority of people are not LGBTQ. They're not trans. Again, gay people are less than 3% of the population. That's gay people, not trans people. Trans people would be less than that. But again, we have this mass media hysteria going on about gay and trans right now, that this ideology is being exposed to more people and more people at a younger age. So it's confused them going, well, I like boys. Well, when a boy or a girl says that, I like boys or I like girls, I go, well, yeah, you like them as friends. You don't like them in a sexual manner. But this is where these creepy weirdos come out and go, no, they do like them in that manner. You don't know that. It's like they're children. Just let them have platonic friendships. They don't need to know what intimate boyfriend-girlfriend relationship style stuff is at that age.
The whole idea is, I thought girls had cooties when I was that young. Why on earth would you be thinking they're able to rationalize the conception, that concept of, adult,
boys and girls, we thought each other were icky back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this becoming such a normalized thing? But again, you have a lot of weird pervert teachers in the classroom now. You have a lot of weird people pushing ideology that's way too, it's above kids' head, and rightfully so. They don't need to know anything about this stuff until significantly later on in life. But yeah, this is where we're at in society right now. But again, so many people are brainwashed by this that they think it's normal. So one of those people, especially people out in Hollywood. So this next video that Chad's going to pull up is with Ellen Page, or now Elliot Page. She had her nips cut off, her tits cut off, and I don't know if she has a plastio wiener put on, but Ellen Page, formerly, if you ever saw the movie Juno, this is her most famous film. She was Juno, and she also played Kitty Pryde in the X-Men. So she was the girl that could walk through walls in X-Men. She came in the X2 though, so this is where she came in. The original X-Men, Kitty Pryde was a different actress, but in X2, the role went to her because it was a bigger role, speaking role. So, but Ellen Page, now Elliot Page, is Lauren Chin is going to kind of do a reaction video to a statement she made. So again, Lauren Chin is another conservative commentator. So go ahead and check this out real quick, and we will meet you on the other side.
Call it niche, queer things niche. 30% of young people identify as LGBTQ+. So I'm like, I'm sorry, this is not niche. You tell really specific stories about like cis het people. I'm not calling that odd plot niche.
Okay, this just goes to show that Elliot Page really needs to get out of the LA Hollywood bubble. Yeah, maybe, sure, 30% of young people identify as LGBTQP in California, but how about the rest of the country, let alone the rest of the planet? And you know what? Niche creators have existed like forever. And if you want to do that, that's fine. Tell whatever stories you want. But what gets me is the absolute entitlement here to that, yes, everyone else in Hollywood, in the industry, on the planet, they also need to be interested in my specific type of lifestyle fascination that I've adopted like 4 seconds ago. And it's so funny because it's like, face it, Paige, you peaked at Juno, which is the most cis-het story imaginable.
Often call it niche.
But yeah, I mean, she's correct in that assessment there, Lauren Chin. That was a great assessment. However, I will disagree with her on one aspect. It is small, it is niche. It's large out there in that Hollywood bubble, obviously, because people in the Hollywood bubble are only interacting with, liberal arts style people, the people who have the same thought patterns and ideology as they do. Mm. So there's always going to be confirmation bias out there in that Hollywood bubble. However, again, it's like what I was talking about before. This has spread far beyond just Hollywood. I mean, this is everywhere now. This ideology is absolutely everywhere now. And that's why you have so many kids coming out and being identifying as this. You know, it's just a trendy thing to do, or it's something their parents are pushing on them. Yeah. So it's very odd. And again, we'll pull up another video by James Lindsay, who James Lindsay is the he got basically internet famous because he and a bunch of his friends submitted a bunch of critical theory papers to get published in what's the word? They submitted a bunch of collegiate papers, fake collegiate papers, to see if they could get published in college for doctoral thesis papers. So, and they wrote these as jokes, like, because they were going to write stuff so crazy. Like, one of them, they wrote Mein Kampf, except they swapped a lot of the stuff about the Jews with, like, feminist theory. And it got accepted. And it was praised, too. Not just accepted. They were submitted for awards, these papers that they submitted. So James Lindsay, this guy, realized that the institutions in college are lost. They've been taken over by Marxists and communists. Because if they agree with these fake papers he submitted that were nothing but Marxist and feminist and basically pseudo-communist ideology, then the people who are running the universities don't actually have any intellectual standards. So go ahead and play this video, and he's promoting his new book. This is a video from the Epoch Times.
You got it.
Believe that all children are intrinsically queer, and that what's happening is that normal society is socializing them, which is a fancy word for brainwashing them, to be normal, which means for them not queer, where queer is a political stance.
In this episode, I sit down with James Lindsay and Logan Lansing to discuss their new book, The Queering of the American Child, how a new religious cult poisons the minds and bodies of normal kids.
It took me less than 1 minute to find a whole suite of furry literature about children adopting fursonas and identifying not as human, explicitly underwritten by queer theory and the doctrine.
What is queer theory? Who are its biggest proponents? And what practical impact has it had on America's youth, our institutions, and society at large?
There are no brakes on the train. Yesterday's radical is today's conservative. It has to keep moving towards the direction of completely dissolving normalcy, boundaries, legitimacy.
This is American Thought Leaders, and I'm Yanya Kellick.
Yeah. So what that guy said was unbelievable.
Like, intrinsically queer.
Yesterday's radical is today's conservative. Because this ideology is moving so far left, it's so crazy, it's so beyond the pale that people who were on your side 2 minutes ago are considered heretics now, because this ideology doesn't know when to stop, and it's never going to stop. It's going to keep pushing for more extreme craziness as it continues. And again, this is everywhere. James Lindsay just wrote this book because he could see it all over the place. He goes around and speaks at colleges all over the world now, or at least all over the U.S., trying to stop this Marxist spread. And again, remember, Marxism is considered, according to Wikipedia, is a conspiracy theory. So this is nuts, folks. The fact that this is where we're at right now. And again, as you saw, we talked about furries on the channel before. There is doctrine about becoming a furry, about identifying as animals. You know, if your kid's going out online and be like, oh, looking up something like furries or LGBTQ or trans, they go, oh, this is normal. A lot of people do this. It's like, no, less than 0.1% of the population is doing this. There's just so much crap out there online that they're trying to make it seem as normal as possible. It's not normal. And if you think it's normal, wait till you see this next video.
Which one?
You know the one, the furry one.
Okay. Pulling it up now. The kid, right?
Yeah, the kid.
Weird kid.
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, Dad?
Yeah.
Thanks for beating me as a child.
No problem, son.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys could read what the subtitle said, but it says when your dad calls you by your preferred pronouns, and that little furry's out there just dancing and just happy as can be. And then you get the sane, rational response to this, the video clipped with it. Hey, Dad, thanks for beating me as a child. You know, again, this is why bullying is somewhat of a necessary thing in society. Because it keeps down this weird behavior.
If you can't correct wrong behavior or strange behavior, this is what happens. If you're not able to, do some form of corrective training.
Yeah. Again, I mean, that video just it is the rational response to what we're all seeing. It's like when your dad calls you by your whatever your furry pronouns are. I mean, that's weird, man. So strange. It's like, thanks for beating me as a kid, Dad. It really leveled me out. Because that is some wild stuff. No. But, yeah. And that's about all we've got for you today, though, folks. Like I said, just...
Let's just prayer you one here.
Oh, don't worry about that. Okay. That I'm not worried about that video. But, again, furries, the trannies, they're all coming for your kids. So, know what your kids are consuming. Know what they're a part of. We have supercomputers in our phones at all times now. So do your kids. If you let your kids have cell phones, they can be out there on Reddit or just on Google searching up stuff like this 24 hours a day, being like, oh, I kind of feel like I'm a furry. Oh, I kind of feel like I am transgender. And they'll just go down these rabbit holes. And don't be the parent that runs down the rabbit hole with them, being like, this is normal. It's okay. I'm here for you. It's like, no, it's like, hey, maybe you need some help. Maybe you need some therapy. And I'm not even much of a believer in therapy anymore. I think doctors are not really solving the problems. They're just trying to make forever patients anymore.
Yeah. That's what the left thought the pharmaceutical industry was doing for years until COVID.
Yeah. And again, I mean, you have very few doctors that really, I think, really genuinely care anymore. You think you have the Jordan Petersons of the world who did well, but now they're pariahs. But that's where we're at right now in society. We're just trying to create a permanent class of sickly patients to come in and check in every year.
Or mentally ill in some cases.
Or mentally ill, correct, yeah. So again, that's about all we've got for you today. Be aware of what your kids are consuming. Keep them balanced, level-headed, and informed. And that's about all I got for you today, folks. This is the Twins with Owasso Live. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe this so we can grow and spread the word and keep people rational and sane out here. But we are signing off. God bless y'all. Have a wonderful day.
See you later, everybody.